Welcome to the new Fanfic Friday that we are recording right now. It won't be new when it's out, it'll be old. Like, as soon as it goes up, it'll be seconds old, and this
I'm already over it.
You're in the past, guys.
Yeah.
I still think it's cool.
In this series, we take 3 bags and we put a number of suggestions provided by ourselves and by you guys into each one, and there is a hat or a bag for locations, characters, and scenarios. My fanfiction to start this one off features the characters Peter Pan from a book. Yeah.
From a book?
He's from various things, but he's originally from a...
From a book?
No, wait, he's originally from a play, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not a book character.
You fucked up.
Wait,
did the play come first?
Well, according to Finding Neverland, and that is my only frame of reference for Peter Pan.
Fucking Johnny Depp.
Yeah, fucking Scottish-sounding Johnny Depp. And Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Those are my 2 characters. Not from a book, that one. Location was a Taco Bell somewhere in Michigan, as suggested by Terra Namil. The scenario is wrestling, which I don't know if I suggested that, but it seems like something I would put in.
This is gonna get weird.
Is it legal for a grown man to wrestle a child?
Peter Pan is immortal, so he's probably older than Ace Ventura.
Well, some might argue that Ace Ventura's comedy is immortal.
Nobody would argue that. Not after Ace Ventura 3.
But the butt. The rhino butt.
There was a prequel, which I believe... No, it's about Ace Ventura's illegitimate son. This one is very much just my typical... I think I had to vent my frustrations with having to, like, change my writing style, and I just went all out with this one. Okay. So here we go. Do I have something in my teeth? Ace spread his lips wide across his gums as he gesticulated manically at the young redhead in green tights, doing a good demonstration of it. Holding both hands parallel to his face, he indicated the generous helping of taco filling that burst between his teeth and across his elastic jowls. He scarfed down the spicy innards of his quesalupa loudly, dragging the experience out until the entire restaurant of Michiganites had craned their necks to locate the source of the violent slurping.
Wait, hold on. Is quesalupa a real thing?
Yeah, I had to actually Google Taco Bell's menu because I have no clue what Taco Bell sells.
Have you eaten a Taco Bell before?
Yes, one time.
I miss Taco Bell.
We can go sometime.
Yeah,
you can have the quesalupa.
Go, but you will never go.
I just offered.
Okay, well,
thank you. Camera.
Thank you. Now I have physical evidence that you will eat Taco Bell with me.
I should also mention that violent slurping was spelled violet slurping in this, so it was colourful.
Wow.
Golly willikers, Mr. Ventura, cried Peter, sitting cross-legged on the seat across from the gangly Private Eye. I wish the Lost Boys could see me right now. They'd have the world's biggest food fight. It'd be swell. Ace continued to stuff his face until dressing poured out of his nostrils like some sort of bizarre performance piece. He wrestled with the soft shell of his snack, strangling it like a dying animal before ejecting its contents into his gullet.
So he doesn't eat the shell?
He's eating things.
He's eating...
Well, he's Ace Ventura. I think he's
putting things into his face.
He approaches everything with a different perspective every time, I think. So this meal might not even... the next one might not even enter his mouth. He laughed spasmodically, his voice shifting into multiple differing cadences as he expressed what Peter took to be delight. Yeah, see? Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, declared in a nasally gangster voice 1 second, and then jumping audaciously into a bad Scotty from Star Trek impression. My stomach can't take much more of this, Captain. This dilithium crystals in my arsehole are gonna blow. Oh, hold on to me, Betty. Mr. Ventura.
She's very upset.
Mr. Ventura, Peter cleared his throat, absently floating a few inches off his seat of his chair as he drifted closer to the strange man he'd employed. I was rather hoping we could discuss the job. You know, finding Tink. Tink? Ace's eyes snapped open with mock recognition, his voice changing to that of an old sea dog. Without knowing it, Ace had put Peter in mind of his nemesis, the old codfish Captain Hook himself. Has been many a year since I seen the great white Tink. I had a harpoon in my hand and a fresh roll of toilet paper in the other. Aye, says I, never go for a Tink without the proper equipment.
Oh my...
You never know when a Tink'll turn into a toot.
Oh my God.
Ace Ventura is stupid. It's short for Tinkerbell, Peter coughed lightly, brushing a hand through his hair as red as the setting sun. His nose wrinkled in consternation as he realized that he was probably going to have to explain himself slowly as not to trigger one of Ace's random cartoonish outbursts.
Wow.
He's doing his best Ace Ventura impression.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, I can't believe that Peter Pan is being the adult in this situation. He's like, okay, I just want to fucking find my friend. I'm going to say words and I hope they don't trigger him.
She's my friend? She went missing several days ago. I was flying past Big Ben and being all impish and youthful like usual when... Ace screamed, making a sound not unlike a game show buzzer. Sorry, my friend, I'm afraid the rules clearly state that you must phrase your missing person in the form of an animal. I don't do people. That's for human detectives. Detectives that look for humans, I mean. I am a human being. That last part was spoken like John Hurt in The Elephant Man, in case you couldn't figure that out. Tink isn't just an ordinary person. She's a fairy, Peter calmly explained. Most regular PIs wouldn't listen to me, but you're a special breed, Mr. Ventura. Ace nodded in agreement as he started building the mountain from Close Encounters of the Third Kind out of his refried beans. Tink isn't an animal, she's a magical creature, Peter continued. And as such, I think you're the best person, heck, the only person for the job. Will you help me? Ace pulled his lower lip forward in an exaggerated display of contemplation. Then he snapped both his fingers, now dripping with the secretions of his lunch, and leapt onto the table. It's alive! It's alive! He flailed and danced until Peter was certain he must have twisted his body unnaturally to the point that he might break something. Then, as Peter regarded him, Ace span around in place and clasped his fingers to either side of his buttocks, implying that he was now communicating from the inner reaches of his asshole.
Why?
I'm sure I can take a crack at this case.
Why?
Peter sighed.
Why?
He's Ace Ventura. What other reason is there? Peter sighed, a mixture of relief and exasperation. He and Tink were bonded in a way that nobody else could understand. Certainly not someone from Ace Ventura's world, anyway. And Tink shared a love that only an eternally... He and Tink shared a love that only an eternally young nymph and a miniature blonde psychopath that would literally try to murder a girl simply for catching his eye. They were the best friends anyone could ever have. Well, all right. Shucks, it's swell to hear that. Peter smiled broadly, extending his hand and nodding affirmatively. Shake on it, Mr. Ventura? Ace wiped his hands on his Hawaiian shirt and pursed his lips. All righty then. Before they could shake, something gripped Ace by the collar and threw him halfway across the Taco Bell establishment. Peter gasped and cringed, expecting Ace to be seriously hurt. Ace popped up and laughed. Okay, who's the wise guy, huh? Do I have to go to Africa and have a surprisingly racist adventure that is still deemed okay by a 1990s Western audience to get you off my back?
Yes.
Without even waiting for him to finish speaking, the assailant once more gripped Ace and launched him to the wall, where all the Taco Bell specials were displayed.
No, the specials!
Peter recoiled in horror as he realized what was happening. His shadow was kicking Ace Ventura's behind.
Oh.
Hold on now, Peter began berating his two-dimensional counterpart, but it was no use. His shadow had decided Ace Ventura was not worth their time, or at least, he was worth their time so long as that time was spent pummeling the man. Ace, watch out! Ace swung his arms out like a poorly constructed puppet with tangled strings, but it was to no avail. The shadow dragged him across the wall, smushing his face into the recycled building materials and casting him unceremoniously into the men's bathroom. Peter's shadow dove right in after him, and there followed several minutes of caterwauling mixed with esoteric impersonations from decades back.
Why, I oughta...
Oh, a wise guy, huh? Mr. Sulu, raise shields. You wanna tussle, Pilgrim?
You're the man now, dog.
Eventually the violence ceased, and Ace slowly retrieved himself from the restroom. He stood before the Taco Bell customers, soaked and covered in various sauces from his demented dining technique, and announced at the top of his lungs, Do not go in there! Woo! Peter decided to look for Tinkerbell on his own. It took him a day. Ace Ventura spent that time haggling with his server over the price of 12 quesalupas.
Quesalupas! They're back. It all comes together.
You can get them now.
He's just like forgets about the whole thing. They don't even do a follow-up conversation. He's just like, well, your shadow like beat my ass, so I guess we're like done here.
Yeah, I think...
I'm just gonna order some food and sit here for like a day.
I think because he
It's
just
so
keeps
weird.
missing with them, so he ordered like 12 of them, so... Keeps going into different parts of his face and anatomy.
Could you imagine a conversation between Ace Ventura and Bumblebee?
All the radio quotes.
Oh!
That's a crossover I need to see.
Yeah.
But the fat kid, though.
I fucking ship it, man.
The fat kid, Ace Ventura, not Jim Carrey.
Okay, so for my story, I got the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Fuck him.
Which one?
David Tennant.
Okay.
And then...
Did you pick that one, or was it specified?
I picked it.
Do you have a thing for David Tennant? How big is your thing?
And then the second
What is
one
your
was
dick
you.
Oh, you.
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 As in the person
You. And then in the library, and then the scenario is number 1 is number 2's wingman, which was recommended by Alex Brave. So thank you
Thanks,
for recommending
Alex.
this.
So we mean like not literal wingman. We mean like buddy, like who helps you out getting
Yes.
women. Okay.
I think so.
That's the context of the suggestion,
Right,
yeah,
right.
but it doesn't have to be interpreted that way.
No, but I'm just
Well,
curious.
we're gonna find out what I did because I remember things got real strange. I have no idea how long the world had been dark, but when I woke up, I was in a library with a familiar face hanging over my head. Tennant? Are you David Tennant? I asked groggily. Helping me to my feet, the figure in front of me, whose concern never left his eyes, started speaking a bit too quickly for my taste. Never heard of him. Though I am quite curious as to who you are and what brings you to this place, as it's not exactly the best time to be here. Shadowy figures milling about, and friends missing without much in the way of looking up.
Fucking David Tennant.
What?
His
He's like
crackhead voice.
He's just a crackhead.
He's a crackhead.
His eyes are so wide
We
that
love-
they cannot not be full of concern
I
and
love
everything
David
else.
Tennant myself. Mariana has opinions.
Oh. Vishnyrod. That sucks, I said, rubbing my eyes. Whoa, wait, I said, closing my eyes again and seeing an outline on a bright white screen. How do you know about them? Again, I would love to know how you got here, as it's not exactly a piece of cake to waltz into this place, the doctor said.
One does not simply walk into this place. You
The
could say.
library.
The library.
The doctor said, now staring at me with a complete furrowed brow mixed with a bit of anger. Listen, doctor, if I knew why I was here, I'd be helping you out, but the fact that I'm here means everything has changed, which is really not good. The doctor scrunched up his face in a look of concern, asking, when did I ever tell you who I was? You didn't, and yes, I'm aware you don't know me. If you did, I'd honestly be really concerned.
So David Tennant face.
It's true, he does make...
Oh, the doctor.
You didn't, and yes, I'm aware you don't know me. If you did, I'd honestly be really concerned, I said, looking at him with a mix of malaise. I felt uneasy, not necessarily nauseous, but like I couldn't sit upright or stand without feeling like I was being pulled by what could only be described as waves? It was obvious the doctor wasn't happy with me, barging in knowing more about the situation than he did. What's your name? The doctor asked as he passed me a hand. Caitlyn, I said, taking the offer and almost making it to my feet before the nausea, if that's what it was, got stronger.
Mary Sue.
Shut up!
Mary Sue.
This is your guys' fault. Listen, I don't know why you're here for better or for worse, but you've got to tell me what's going on and what's coming next, since you seem to have a pretty good handle on that, the doctor said, crouching beside me. Alright, in this episode... The doctor darted an eyebrow up as I stopped myself. Listen, I know where you are and what's after you. Donna has probably been saved by now, right? The doctor was taking in the features of my face very carefully to see if anything was amiss, but nodded sternly and waited for me to continue. What is happening?
We're David Tennanting over
David
here.
Tennanting. Even Tilly's doing it.
She's like, no.
She always looks
No.
very, like...
I could feel my skin tingling and close my eyes tight. The bright white screen was back again, and a washing machine could be heard in the background. It felt like I was at my desk. I don't fall asleep at my desk, though. Maybe I just fell asleep. Caitlyn! The doctor said, inches from my face, as I had obviously not gone anywhere. The Vishnyrod are here, like, in the millions. Donna is fine, and you just have to figure out where the people are and rematerialize them. I have to what? The doctor said, looking up and around him as the shadows lying just outside the circle of light we're sitting in. Caitlyn, I don't know if I understand what that means. Rematerialize the people? A scream emitted from another room, causing the both of us to turn our heads that direction.
This whole story is you just giving the doctor spoilers.
A scream emitted from another room, causing the both of us to turn our heads that direction. I turned my head and saw a wall covered in a Zootopia poster lit with a soft yellow glow before realizing that that wasn't what I was supposed to be seeing. I blinked hard and opened them again to a group of people running into the space wearing white astronaut, whatever, you know the suits are if you watch the show.
I don't. You
Playing
suck
to
as a
one crowd.
writer.
I don't give a shit.
You're supposed to paint a picture.
Well,
Yeah,
I
where's your people talking out are assholes?
silent but deadly. I would feel more danger if I could feel anything beside the waves that felt like they were slingshotting me forward and back. It wasn't physical, it was just, I don't know, Caitlyn, whatever you know, you need to finish telling me now. You can get up and I can leave you here, but if the people can be saved, we've got to figure out how and do it now. The doctor said as if yelling, but still with some manner of compassion in his voice. I looked behind me to see a suit with an illuminated skull slowly making its way toward us, and the lights over its head were going out slowly one by one. Shit, I said meekly. It was hard to remember what happened that episode. Something about a computer terminal. Talk to the Vashtanarada. They're gonna have something to say. What? Talk to them? The doctor said, quite perplexed. My eyes shut tight and opened to a document I had been writing. Wait, was I writing? When was I writing? Trying to collect my thoughts, I closed my eyes again and heard my name being called over and over again. Caitlyn. My name was being said clearly and rang out loud in my ears as the doctor had said it quiet and cautiously. I'm serious. Just talk to them. Communication is always an option. I said, looking up to see a very concerned doctor. Hey, I have to go. It was really nice meeting you, and if you ever see Jack Harkness, can you tell him to come look for me, like, for a date? I said, smiling as I raised my hand.
Gay.
No, he's bi.
Seeing that its opacity had decreased. You, what? Captain Jack? Yeah? Though I have more to deal with what's happening
The
to you?
doctor is more confused than usual.
I know. The doctor said as the rest of my body began to follow suit in its disappearing act. The one where I'm from wouldn't be interested in me, I said, laughing to myself.
The actor is gay.
Take care of yourself. It's gonna get crazy, I typed. Said. No, that was what I said.
That's cute. I like that.
So, yeah, I'm heavily relying on people knowing what this episode is, but...
I guarantee you most of the people listening will probably know exactly what you're talking about.
Probably so.
What was the scenario for yours?
The
Wingman?
Wingman.
What?
So yeah, at
How
the very
are you?
end, I asked him to talk to Jack Harkness and hook me up with a
see.
date. This week my characters were Solid Snake, suggested by Monty, with an exclamation
Monty.
point.
Monty!
Is she the
Monty!
full Monty or just half?
I mean, it's just Monty.
Right.
Like, maybe he
Yeah,
hasn't
bit of a-
evolved
bit of a Monty.
fully to the full Monty, but...
Monty, but not a full Monty.
But,
A fraction of a
so...
Monty.
Solid Snake and Baymax, suggested by Silver Salamance 10. The location is Comic-Con. Scenario is brought a pen to a gunfight. I interpreted the gunfight not in a literal way, so...
Oh, I see.
It was a beautiful day in San Diego, California.
No, it isn't. It never is.
Every day.
Just like the other 364 days of the year, the sun rolled happily in the sky, occasionally darting between scattered clouds that seemed more like decoration. Cars drove with purpose
I must find my destiny!
through the city's streets, unmarred by weather, and as the time passed into mid-morning, more and more tourists poured into the streets from hotels and trolleys. As the small red train pulled into the station at the convention center, one particular man felt his heart skip a beat. Getting to his feet, Monty dusted the crumbs from his hasty breakfast off of his picture-perfect PS1 Solid Snake costume.
Oh, he's got like the janky graphics?
Yeah. He patted his friend with the back of his hand, unsure if she could see out of her getup, which was a large, inflatable Baymax suit. She got to her feet, carefully pushing her way through the few people that weren't getting off at this stop. Monty nearly leapt out of the trolley once he was able to, whipping around with a bright, pixelated smile to look for his friend.
How do you know Monty's a guy?
He's Solid Snake. I wanted him to be a guy.
True.
She was, unfortunately, still trapped in the transport, her puffy body proving difficult to navigate in a tight space.
Cute.
Come on, Amy! He urged with impatience, concerned that she might get locked in the train.
This is a sneaking mission.
But mostly annoyed that he couldn't bolt for the doors immediately.
Bolt is a different Disney movie.
I am not fast, she snapped back a little too quickly, her costume decision already haunting her as she popped out of the doors right before they closed. There. Happy? The snake cosplayer nodded eagerly before practically skipping towards the crosswalk that led them across the train tracks, melting into the crowd of badge-clad warriors, scientists, aliens, and anime fans.
It's like a crowd of badges.
Trotting beside him as best her little legs could carry her, Amy chattered excitedly about the paneling she couldn't wait to wait in line for. She was always the more nerdy of the two of them, with her gunplays littering their shared apartment, her bedroom a shrine to Dragon Age, laptop littered with Overwatch stickers, and the cat they got together proudly named Satine. After Obi-Wan's love interest from the non-Tartakovsky Clone Wars series, she had said time and time and time again. Monty's love of pop culture was nowhere near as prolific as his roommates, but he was rather well known on the internet for his aforementioned snake costume, the Metal Gear series being the only one he obsessed over with any tenacity. He had started the costume 5 years ago, after completing each older game for the second time before going into his playthrough of the Phantom Pain, and it had grown in accuracy and popularity with each iteration and improvement he made. He now bragged over 5,000 followers on Tumblr, and as Amy knew, he was very proud of each one of them, carefully checking his count every night before bed.
And his privilege.
And his privilege. Monty cleared his throat, putting an unlit cigarette between his lips, the only inaccuracy in his costume, as they were not smuggled in his stomach. He widened the base of his vocal cords, preparing for the murder that would inevitably follow from talking like Solid Snake for an entire day, seminodes that he wore with pride for weeks later. Brother! The familiar cry rang out from behind him, and Monty winced. He turned, facing his mortal enemy, MGS Lover 93.
Mozzarella, you his mortal enemy?
MGS Lover 93.
It was MGS Lover 93 in a liquid snake costume. You smoke, Mama?
Oh!
She's like, what?
She's got her vices, alright.
A camera was securely fastened to his hand and would no doubt spend the entire week on, documenting everything. What is this on my dash? A crossover episode? He fumbled the BoJack Horseman reference, much like he did his terrible wig, no doubt purchased from that Arda knockoff store. Subpar. Very catty cosplayers. Monty stopped, painfully, grabbing Amy's fluffy arm to let her know that he had stopped. Confused, he could only assume, she whipped around, spotting MGS Lover 93 and letting out an annoyed, "Oh." It seemed that they were both grateful that their faces were difficult or impossible to see. "Wow," Monty said in his snake voice, unsure of how to continue but not one to break character. "You're here." "Indeed I am, brother," MGS Lover 93 said in his terrible British accent, attempting to emulate Cam Clark's perfection, but falling short. Very short. "Can you believe how much I have changed? I mean, look at these guns!" As if on cue, Monty's nerd rival stripped off his jacket, thin, pale body bragging the smallest of muscles. MGS
Those the
I've
guns.
seen it so many times.
Those the guns of the Patriots.
Yes. This is the gun, and this is the Patriot. MGS Lover 93 looked at them with a smirk, flexing his arm and waiting for the oohs and ahs. Amy and Monty did neither. Spotting a Sharpie on a passerby's lanyard, he quickly asked for permission to use it before pulling it off of the random person. "That's pretty impressive, MGS Lover," Monty said with mock awe, closing the distance between them. "As a matter of fact, I'm so impressed that I want to sign off on them. Let everyone know how impressed I am." "What?" Before MGS Lover 93 could respond, Monty had already scribbled his internet handle signature, something he practiced every day, just in case someone asked for it.
I don't care for that. That is,
Amy had been tugging insistently on Monty's sleeve as he had done so, her Baymax head turned and staring at the man he had taken the Sharpie from. Do you know who you just took that from?" she whispered, and Monty was so pleased with his graffiti that he only grunted in response. That's Stan Lee!" "Oh, really?" Monty said, not really recognizing the name. "Well, thanks, Stanley. Hope you have a great con." They walked away from...
Stanley's like, I don't even care.
They walked away from MGS Lover 93 and Stan Lee, the former looking somewhat deflated at the idea that he had to keep his jacket on to hide his new brand, and the latter looking about as confused as he did during any of the cameos in the Marvel movies. The end.
I feel like there really was a running theme through all three of these because there was a shadow in mine, there were shadow beings in Caitlyn's, and yours involved, technically, not necessarily directly, Shadow Moses.
That's true.
So shadows.
It's a conspiracy.
If only we had Shadow the Hedgehog in one of these, and what are you doing to... Okay.
She was like, "Shh, we don't talk about Shadow."
Rockabye Tilly on the beanbag. When we see you next week, we'll have more fanfiction. Please suggest ideas for characters, locations, and scenarios.
But don't make them reliant on each other, you stupid fucks.
And if you go ahead.
Subscribe, like, read our fanfiction on
archive of our own. The username is 3 hats, and you don't have to listen to us or look at us or do anything to do with other people.
You
just ignore people.
Read the stories and it'll be great, but you don't give this cute dog.
That's very
Look
true.
at her.
Please give us suggestions in the comments for characters,
Support
locations, and
this
scenarios.
Cute dog.
Or Tilly will be very upset.
She's
Look
like,
at her.
there's no more fanfiction.
You want more fanfiction, Tilly?
You want more
Oh, yes, she
fanfiction?
does.
She's like, please, more fanfiction.
Help this
Don't
dog
let her
out,
down.
man. Help
Yeah.
this dog out.
Give all the suggestions you can.
See, the best part is that this is like an ASPCA ad, but without the guilt.
In the
We're guilting people pretty good.
arms of Martin.
Like two.
Give
Fly
us
away.
fanfiction suggestions.
What do you think, huh? Oh.
Kisses.
Okay. Thanks, guys.